Hey there, Pauper fans. Bryant Cook here. Today we're playing in a Pauper challenge, my first ever Pauper challenge ever. And we're running Grixis Cycle Storm. I recorded a video with this on Valentine's Day. You can check that out here on this very YouTube channel. I go over all the card choices and etc. there. Make sure to check that out. But for now, we're already paired for round number 1. And let's do it. Sounds great. Keep. I'll be honest. I think when you're playing Grixis Cycle Storm, what your opponent is playing doesn't really affect too many of your keeps. According to this, they play a lot of Pauper Affinity, though. I'd still keep this against Pauper Affinity. Songs is an okay draw. Looking for a land here. No land. Alright, well this is not Affinity if it's playing Brainstorm. Which is why, you should just keep hands that do your thing. Looks like they're on some sort of fairies deck. They got another island. One on top, one on the bottom with Preordain. Other songs. This actually isn't the worst when you have to discard creatures, because it is building Threshold. It adds a mana with Songs of the Damned. And if they're not going to apply pressure, we can just keep on cycling. I might discard the Tolarian Winds, though, here, if I don't draw a land, because the second one's pretty bad. Like, you really only ever want to draw one of that card. You have a fairy. Ideally, they would tap out here, but I don't think that's going to be what happens. If we drew Swamp, we could try to power through. Swamp would actually be great. There it is! So we can try to win right now. So they're going to counter the songs, and then we play the other and try to win. Lotus Petal here would be one of our best draws. I'll take Dark Ritual, though. A little bit more Storm. Alright, so we are not guaranteed to win here. I'd just like to point that out. It takes mana to cycle through, so we need to... Lotus Petal would help quite a bit because we could Tolarian Winds and save a bunch of mana on cycling. Which is why I'm going to start on these street rates. Fall Ritual's an okay draw. Mini songs, as I like to call it. Okay, really need another Reaping the Graves now. There's Petal. That was a good draw. Cycle these Barren Moors. There it is. That should do it. Boom, fairies. Dark Ritual was a great draw there because I couldn't afford to cycle again anyway. So now we're going to hold the control button. We're going to draw essentially the rest of our deck here. So now we Reaping the Graves. There's no reason to cycle first. So if you're wondering, like, why don't you cycle in response to Tolarian Winds, we're going to be going down to about half our deck once this resolves. So you don't want to draw too deep. Or, like, what if you draw a Lotus Petal and you need Lotus Petals for your Stingers? Or what if you draw into another Reaping the Graves that you'll need? It's just very risky, in my opinion. All right, so now we draw 14. So this is the last Reaping, or Songs of the Damned, I'm sorry. We need to make this one count. So the plan here is to find the last Reaping the Graves, cycle it, and then win with the draws on the stack. All right, 6 cards left in deck. Mother Stinger. There is another Reaping the Graves in there, right? Like, I'm pretty sure we've only seen 2. 1, 2. Yeah, so in the bottom 3 cards, there's 2 Reaping the Graves. So let's cycle the Street Wraith because it's free. It doesn't take a mana. Okay. Start at the top. So our opponent's probably sitting on a snuff out, so we have to keep that in mind. It's like the only reason they wouldn't have F6'd. And now we're going to win with 2 cards in library. Maybe this person just doesn't know how to F6. I don't know. Alright, they've seen the writing on the wall. We're going to game 2. In these matchups, I like to board in 6 protection spells. And I know it might seem weird. I like boarding out 4 Architect because I think they're generally like one of the worst cyclers in the deck. And I like boarding out 2 copies of Dark Ritual. So you have to keep a certain density of cyclers, and like we're already boarding out 4 Architects, so it's a little bit risky. And then Dark Ritual is the worst of the accelerants. Like Lotus Petal plays a crucial role in our deck. Cabal Ritual makes more mana once you get going than Dark Ritual, and Songs is absolutely important. So, like, what else are you going to cut? And you really want to hit your land drops so that way you can take advantage of your opponent. We got a little bit lucky there. We drew this untapped swamp when we needed to, and we were rewarded, but it can be a little tough. If you want to, you can board in these shredded sails for like Nile spell bombs. I don't like boarding these in unless I see the spell bombs, because you have to make a decision on like you could, instead of doing that, you could board out Duress and then bring in the shredded sails. But I think you don't want to overboard. You don't want to be boarding in 8 cards because then you start to dilute the deck a little too much, in my opinion. So I'm gonna hit submit here. All right. Terrific hand. Alright, so what this hand really wants is to eventually find Songs and then Reaping the Graves, and that's how you win. We have 2 cyclers that are going to help us do that, but this hand is really good. Ninjutsu. Yep. Another Soul Prevent isn't bad. It's really good on the combo turn. But they're going to start bearing us in card advantage, so we will have to do something eventually. But these land drops are very good draws. Don't get me wrong. I'm just a little concerned about finding Songs. Or not Songs, Reaping the Graves. I'm sorry about that. And this will help them dig for Spell Bomb if they have one. So this could be a window if we wanted it. We're just not ready to win. I think if you tried to win right now, it's really aggressive. Especially when you have all these counter backup. Nothing wrong with taking it slow. They have 9 cards. So they're just sculpting at this point. Do I want that for storm count? I don't know. Like, I'm also wondering if I'd rather cycle this Baron more or play it. I think cycle's the answer. The land draw was good for them. That was a good one. That was a very good draw. I think this is our spot. Actually, I'm going to play this a little more conservatively. I'm going to pass and then cycle the Vantasaur on their end step and then untap. So part of it's I want to sack these lands for extra mana, but I also need a black source. So playing a little cautiously here. I could get blown out, but I think I'm more likely to win next turn with triple protection. Going to 6 here. So it is going to make Street Wreath a little bit dicey. I'm aware of that. Ooh, not a good draw. Maybe we can exchange it with Tolarian Winds. They discarded Spell Stutter Sprite. That's wild. Their hand must be good. Let's start with the rest. Want to make sure that this song makes as much mana as possible. Another song that was very good. Increase my storm count. Do it. I am the control deck here. Get out of here. Start at the top. And I actually don't think I'm going to return any Straight Wraith because we still have 2 in the deck and I can only cycle 1 more. I'm sorry, we have 1 in the deck and I can only cycle 1 more. I guess I can return the 1. Alright, so we're fairly likely to win here. We could always fizzle. Those things do happen every once in a while. It's a part of playing combo. But I will say that we are heavily... I don't know. We're in a good spot. And I think that we have enough mana here where I'm going to start on a Stinger. And if they have the Snuff Out, they have the Snuff Out. We can keep on cycling. Like, we could win in response to a Snuff Out. Tolarian Winds is good. Gonna sit on that for a little bit, though. Like, we need to cycle at some point, and we might as well... we have plenty of mana right now to deal them 1. Alright, well now things should go a little bit quicker. Woo! Woo! 1-0 in my first ever Pauper Challenge match against Blue-Black Fairies with Grixis Cycling Storm. It's not a glass cannon. I know that people like to call this deck that, but the 4 Pyroblast, 2 Duress, Tolarian Winds upgrade that I helped make has really been pretty good for this deck. Hopefully I can win some more. It's 6 rounds today. We were just short of the 7th round, so X1 is going to be the record we need to make top 8. Stick around. Hopefully we can do that together. Welcome back for round number 2. According to Goldfish, we are likely facing blue-red fairies now instead of blue-black. Let's see if we can get this one as well. Reasonable hand. Reasonable. So I'm going to... actually, no. I'm going to start on Barrenmore. So you could cycle looking for sulfur events here. I'm not going to do that because, like, realistically, I'm going to play out that Barrenmore anyway. And I'd rather hide the Straight Wraith for a little while longer. Alright, so drawing a second land is always good. Alright, so they're having a little bit of a slowish start, but it's not like we're winning that quickly either. My apologies if you can hear a noise in the background a few seconds ago. It happened last round too. My significant other, she left the house, And the dog doesn't like it when he doesn't know where I'm at, so he'll throw his body weight into the door trying to get it open. So, apologies. Opponent here thinking on this fairy seer. Okay, so we're going to cycle the architect on the end step. I don't mind the winds draw. Did we hit the land? No. So now I'm going to cycle the Street Wraith. Ooh. Love the land draw. So we have a lot of mana right now, but we don't have a Reaping the Graves, which is really what we need. Reaping the Graves as our draw step would allow us to go bananas, especially when they're tapping out here. Come on, deck. Give me a Reaping the Graves. Come on. I think I'm going to burn the Cabal Rit trying to dig a little bit here, because this is definitely a window, and I don't need the Cabal Ritual to win. There it is. All right. We're going places. All right, hold control once again. And now we cast Reaping the Graves. This is for 7. The question is whether or not I cycle the Street Wraiths right now. Because if we hit another Reaping the Graves, I could still build up, so I think I'm going to. Alright, and I'm not going to pay mana to cycle, so I'm just going to clear these. That was a little dicey there, to be honest. Like, that was not the best draw 7. Okay. Fortunately for us, we did hit the Reaping the Graves. So now we can bring back all the creatures. Alright, and our opponent's tapped out, so I'm going to start on Stinger here and just assume that within our 11 cyclers we don't brick. So I have terrible posture, by the way. So I bought lumbar support and a pad that I'm supposed to sit back against, and I need to get better at doing that. That's what happens when you get old. Don't do it. And that Reaping the Graves draw right there is going to be enough to win this game. May this be a lesson to never tap out against me. What were you thinking, opponent? Jeez. I don't actually think that. I'm sure our opponent made the proper play for them. I'm just trolling. Cycle the Street Wraith. And we have taken game number 1 from Blue-Red Fairies. How about that? Same board plan as round number 1. We're going to bring these in, get rid of these Architects, and 2 Dark Rit. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Support this great Pauper content that I am bringing you in my first ever Pauper challenge. But if you're already subscribed, make sure you go to the description, check out all of our social links, join the Epic Storm community. There's plenty of decks that we discuss. Yeah, it's a great community. We have several different platforms that you can communicate with us on. And at the very end of that, there's a microphone. That is for the Eternal Glory podcast. It's a legacy podcast, admittedly, but we're pretty entertaining, and we talk through a lot of concepts that translate throughout the formats. We're available on all major podcast platforms, and if you don't know, it is myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. Game 2. All right. Our opponent is mulligan. We're going to do the same. You just can't keep hands without lands. Unfortunate. We're going to 5. Seems okay. Not the best hand, but maybe we'll get lucky. Looking for that second land here. We'd prefer if those were the sulfur vents, but can't complain too much. Alright, opponent's thinking on Brainstorm. We're in an interesting spot here because, like, even if we drew Reaping the Graves, we don't have enough resources to really take advantage if our opponent did tap out. It's part of what hurts about mulliganing to 5. Augur. So theoretically, this could be a window, but I don't think it's going to be. Preordain is the reveal. There's Reaping the Graves, so that would be a start, but I just don't think it's realistic for us to go for it here. I'm going to cycle. So I could go Petal, which would put 6 cards to the graveyard. Songs of the Damned, Cabal Ritual. Yeah, I just think we have to pass. We don't have enough to win. We're going to take 1 here, unless they decide to Ninjutsu. They do not. Tolarian Winds. I've always said the first one is pretty good. The second one's terrible. Alright. I don't think it's worth discarding here. Really? They're going to counter a Lotus Petal. Okay. Sure. A little aggressive in my opinion. But they're probably sitting on a hand stack full of counter magic at this point. Another songs. They're really aggressive about countering these Lotus Petals. It's strange. I think this might be a window for us. We're going to have to get a little bit lucky in order to win, but we know that our opponent's tapped down low, so we need to take advantage of it. Like, I don't know how probable we are here. We did board out 2 copies of Dark Ritual. There's only 2 Lotus Petals left. We have to win with those 2 petals. So if we use 1 on Tolarian Winds, we have 1 Stinger that we can cast. Down to 3 mana, that is. So now we would have to draw Songs of the Damned off this if we want to keep winning. Unfortunate. So we're going to cycle and pass. I mean, we're going to play our land too, but... So we're going to take 4 here, going to 6. So we know that they have a Spell Stutter now, on top of whatever else they had. So we didn't end up getting the game where we mulliganed to 5, which is whatever. Not the end of the world. All right, we're going to go to game 3 now. Okay, game 3 on the play. Yeah, seems reasonable. Ideally, we would find our sulfur vents because they give us the red mana for Pyroblast. But this hand's pretty good. We'd love to draw a land on turn 2. Might as well play out this Petal. We saw that they're really aggressive with countering them, so that way if I miss my land drop next turn, I'm not discarding. And they're going to play it safe and just pass here. Alright, deck, I'm looking for a land. No land, have to pass. Alright, I know that this is a little bit weird, but I need to use the restroom. I'm going to pause this. I'll be right back. Hey, sorry about that. Things happened. I did lose a little bit of clock time, but we'll be fine. I'm going to take my draw step. Another songs. You could try to win this turn. I think it's just a tiny bit greedy. And I'm going to move to cleanup. I think we might be able to try to win next turn, depending on like if our opponent tries to Ninjutsu here and taps down to 2 mana. Maybe I shouldn't F6. Because if they have a Braid or something, I'll need to cycle. Alright, so we're going to fall to 17. Come on, Ninjutsu, do it. And they're going to pass instead. Land. There we go, that's a great draw. Next turn we can probably go off with double backup. That sulfur vent was chef's kiss. So good. "12 minutes is plenty of time for game number 3. Opponent thinking pretty hard here. Are they considering like flashing in another creature like a spell stutter? I don't know what's going on here. Like maybe a braid on petal? I think if it's take inventory, you just fire it off. They're considering cycling Ash Barrens. Seems like a pretty free play. I think you'd rather have an island there than a colorless source. Maybe I'm not understanding. So they want us to think that they have a ninjutsu creature. They might. It looks like they're not going to do it. Or maybe they try to do it in the wrong step because it has to be after blockers. That is how ninjutsu works. Alright, I'm feeling pretty confident with our next turn right now. I think that we can beat double counter. So this Tolarian Winds is not likely ever going to resolve, which kind of changes things a little bit. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cyclers. So I don't need to cast this Tolarian Winds. It's just -2 mana to draw out a card that we don't need to. Like if this game I end up losing by 1 or 2 mana, I'd feel really dumb. Alright, so let's start off by cycling. Alright, so now let's find a songs. That's what I'd like to find. Come on, deck. Getting a little nervous now. They have double spell stutter in hand too. There we go. One song's left. So that last Songs of the Damned is going to need to win the game. So another option I could take is to play double Horror of the Broken Lands right now. I think it's like it's pretty free to start off by cycling Street Wraith. Duress. Let's go for it. Oh, there's the last songs, but we can't afford to use that to keep. That's our last songs. We're going to need that to literally create 20 damage. We have 3 Lotus Petals that we still need. We're actually getting kind of low on cyclers as well. 16 cards in deck. There's the Reaping. How much mana is this making? 16? Alright, let's cycle these Stingers. We just get free draws out of them. Because they'll replace themselves with the songs. $13 cards in deck. This should do it. And now we start. Go to the end, because I'd like to know when we draw a Lotus Petal, so that way I can save effective mana and damage by playing out Stinger. Not Petal yet. Street Wraith. There's a Petal. We actually have one more Petal left in the deck as well, so I'll be able to play another Stinger at some point. And there it is. I can cast the recently drawn Stinger. Alright, so this is going to advance us to 2-0 over Blue-Red Fairies. Woot woot! So we're seeing the strength of Cycle Storm right now over Blue-Black Fairies and Blue-Red Fairies, which are claimed to be really bad matchups. You play tight, you stick to your plan, you pressure their mana. That's how you win that matchup. So don't go anywhere. Round number 3 will be coming up in just a second or two, and hopefully we can keep on doing what we're doing. Maybe with a bathroom break or two less. All right, round number 3. Welcome to round number 3. We're facing Quinniac, and according to Goldfish, our opponent plays burn in all formats. So, like, land Reaping the Graves is good. I just think that this hand might be a little bit slow, but I think we're, like, forced into keeping it. It's a little bit unfortunate. Our opponent's mulliganing to 5. Maybe that can help buy us a little bit of time. I don't really want to cycle this Street Wraith unless I have to. That was actually a pretty good draw. No land, we have to cycle. Does Burn play Forgotten Cave? I guess this person does have 2 in their list. We had a land, which is fantastic. Yep, and there's the Alchemist. Like the Tolarian Winds draw, let's draw a Sulfur Vent here. I'm going to dare to go to 16. Bummer. They still have 4 cards. So many. 2 cards away from Threshold. Where were you last turn, Sulfur Vent? I could be dead now. Unfortunately, we just have to pass here. I would love to be able to untap, though. Chance I'm just dead. Three lands? Unless these are all lands in their hand. Dead to Fire Blast. And that's lethal. The Sulfur Vents needed to be 1 more card down, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh well. Pretty good for a 5-card hand, too. I don't think we change anything. So this is one of the small weaknesses of the Grixis list over the 4-color. I am running Darkness over Weather the Storm or Gnaw to the Bone. I don't like when I've tested those cards. I never felt like they were that amazing to begin with, so I'm just going to resubmit and hopefully we get a little bit of a faster draw. If you would like to support this content, you can do so by visiting theepicstorm.com/shop and getting your very own mini token pack. For $12, you get 54 tokens. 20 storm, 10 black, 10 red, 6 blue, 3 of the remainders, 9 different goblin tokens on the back, so you get 6 of each. And they're mini. They're half the size of your standard Magic the Gathering card. Once again, theepicstorm.com/shop. Alright, game 2 on the play. Solid. Definitely keeping this. And they've mulliganed to 6. Alright, fast start once again. We're going to go to 12. Maybe I shouldn't cycle that. Let's cycle Horror. Alright, gonna pass here. Next turn I'll probably try to go for it no matter what, assuming that we do get another turn. Alright, so we're gonna go to 8 here, upkeep go to 7. They're on 1 card, so we do have to play around Fire Blast. So if I cycle both of these, I lose. If they do have the Fire Blast. Is it worth playing the healer here? I don't think so. Just like, we're going to need so much in order to win this turn. So notice how they un-F6'd. Their last card could be Fire Blast. So the Reaping the Graves was a good draw. I wonder if I should play out the healer here. Probably not. Alright, so if I play out healer, I can gain a bunch of life. Because even if we fizzle, we're gaining life. And I do like that. Leaving the blue open in case of Tolarian Winds. Petal's an okay draw. I like that one. I like that one too. I'm going to cycle here. I've gained enough life where I feel safe. Actually, we're pretty low on mana, which is kind of an issue. But the fact that these 3 wraiths cycle for next to nothing. Alright, and our opponent had enough. Let's see if we actually would have been able to win. Yeah, we would have gotten there. Okay. Game 3. Our opponent is on the play now, which is kind of an issue. So something I could do here is board in 2 copies of Duress over 2 Architect. But I think we'd rather just continue to be consistent. So I'm going to resubmit. Yep, keep. Opponent has mulligan to 5 again. A little bit of a slow start for our opponent. They're still on 1 land. This is what we need in order to win this matchup, to be honest. So, like, normally I'd feel bad, but, like, I'm not going to. And it looks like we're getting a little flooded ourselves. Actually, I'm going to fire off a ritual here. Dig a little bit deeper with our cycling. So I'd have to discard if we don't hit a land anyway, so you might as well just get deeper with that stuff. I'm going to cycle the Stinger because we could always backdoor cast Horror. Alright, and I think now we just go for the win. Alright, so do I want to sit on these songs? So 1 creature, 2 we have 6. So Reaping the Graves returns 6. Yeah, it's better to sit on them here. Because we have enough mana to cycle through all of the creatures from Reaping the Graves without ever needing the mana. And theoretically, I could also just like cast Horror plus something else. Alright, Winds was okay, but let's see if we can find another Reaping the Graves first. Come on, Reaping the Graves, please. Getting a little nervous. Come on, Reaping the Graves. We have 3 Reaping the Graves in the deck. And 2 Lotus Petals left. Because I think I need to discard this petal and draw 3. This is going to be such a massive feel bad. Come on, deck. Please. Reaping the Graves. I had a feeling that would happen too. We just lost a burn because our deck fizzled. 23 cards left, 3 Reaping the Graves in there. Ah. What? 3 songs? God damn it, deck. It's going to take a miracle for us to win. I think we have 1 songs left. That's our last load. Or we have 1 Lotus Petal left. Yeah, unfortunately we just hit our fizzle rate this game. And now we're dead. Oh well. So we'll be 2-1, not the end of the world. Still 3 rounds of Magic left to play. Yeah. So losses happen. No reason to be upset. We were pretty likely to win and we just didn't. Okay, round number 4 and we're on the play. So to go over our last round a little bit before we start this current one, you might be thinking, well, why didn't you wait a turn, cycle your creature, and then pass? Well, we were at 14, so if we pass, our opponent hits us for 2, and then if they have 2 3-mana burn spells, let's say they draw a land, they play 2-mana burn spells, they then have Fire Blast open. If that's the case, it shuts off Street Wraith for our entire cycle pile. And having access to be able to cycle Street Wraith is a lot more valuable. So I don't think waiting in that spot was actually correct. I think like I was maybe a little bit of a victim to variance. But I don't think waiting was correct. But enough of last round. We're going to focus on winning this one. I just wanted to take a brief note of that. We're on the play. Our opponent's last published deck was Boros Monarch. But they have a pretty deep history of different decks. Can't keep that. Yes. I think I'm going to bottom the Tolarian Winds, maybe. Alright, and our opponent's kept their 7. Let's go. Alright, so they're not on Boros Monarch, they're on something else. Great draw. Looks like the Jun deck. Alright. Is it time? Like, am I supposed to go for it right now? Can we return 6? I'm gonna take a second and try to find whether or not I'm supposed to go for it here. So this deck doesn't appear to be on the front page. Lightning could be a card that we see. So I guess main deck we're really only worried about Lightning. But they could have cast it last turn if they had it. So I'm going to pass. They still have the pack, whatever it's called, the pack dog that they can foretell. Pack mate. There it is. Let's cycle this, see if we can go a little bit deeper. Would love a songs. There we go. Have to target a creature. So this is going to be a draw 7. So I'm not going to bring back, like I could have chosen to bring back Stingers. I think I'm just going to focus on winning this turn, so I'm not going to play out an early Stinger. I'm just going to cycle. Because they could have Snuff Out or a 1-mana removal spell anyway. And I just want to make sure that I don't fizzle. Rather than trying to get in a little bit of chip damage. The Winds was interesting. Let's cycle the Wraith first. Wow. So let's sack this. Hold priority. We are going to draw a lot of cards. It's pretty free for me to cycle here. Like, I'd be cycling these anyway. I don't think I'm going to try to win in response. I just don't need to do that, but I could. Maybe I will. I don't know. Going down to 8 cards once this resolves. I'm going to turn off auto yields. Turn that one back on, and now we just kill the opponent. I like cycling Horror of the Broken Lands in particular because it doesn't make me click twice. I'm a big fan of that. Where like a bunch of the other cyclers you have to choose black even though it's the only thing floating. Alright, so we took game 1 against the Jund deck. In the board, I see 2 Gorilla Shaman, Red Elemental Blast, Weather the Storm, Tranquility, in one of the most recent lists. Let's look at another one. Like, do I need to board in these Shredded Sails is the question I'm asking myself here. 2-main deck Bojuka Bog is the big thing. It doesn't look like I actually want Shredded Sails. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna submit this same 75. Great hand. Opponent is mulliganed. So sometimes if I'm trying to beat Bojuka Bog, what I'll do is I'll just make land drops and not cycle. So that way I can cycle all on their end step on tap and try to win. So they missed their land. I'm all about this. So like if you're not going to pressure me, I'm not going to cycle. The question is, do I cycle these Baron Moors? It's free to cycle one, I think. Let's cycle the other. I can actually Lotus Petal Horror of the Broken Lands. Let's do that, because that could just win the game next turn. Is Horror going to get there? Need a blocker. Alright. Now's our time to kill with Horror of the Broken Lands. Into the North is a cool addition. Gets you a dual land here. Like, that's sweet. Oh, they could have Snuff out. It's important to keep that in mind. Yeah. I like the Tolarian Winds draw. I can't cycle off that, obviously. It says black or red, and here I am trying to collect blue. I have a feeling that they have Snuff out. Ooh, they didn't, and we win the match. Okay, so that advances us up to 3-1, 2 rounds to go. My breakers aren't very good, so if I want to top 8 this thing, I'm going to have to win them. Playing tight is how you do that. I don't think I've misplayed too poorly yet, but I'm willing to have you tell me otherwise. All right, 2 more to go. Round number 5. We're on the draw. Our opponent's last few decks have been Affinity. Unfortunately, no land in this hand, so we're going to ship this. Solid. Get rid of this pedal, and I'm pretty happy with this hand. This looks like an Affinity start. Not ATOG, I like that. Alright. Sort of a slow draw for them. I'm wondering if I want to cycle this Baron more or not. I don't think mana is going to be the choke point, so I'm actually going to sit on the Baron more. There's Mirror Enforcer. They have one Spell Pierce in the main. Alright, so we have a bunch of mana here. Excuse me. Looks like I got everything, so I'll just click that again. Alright, so effectively a draw 7. Songs is a pretty good start. I really want to find another Reaping the Graves. There we go. Alright, so this will be all the mana that we get out of Songs of the Damned for the rest of the game. Well, that was fantastic. Alright. So I think that this is going to be like a draw 10. Alright, so that was fine. Now we try to kill them. I should have played that out first. That was actually a mistake on my part. Because if they decided to Galvanic Blast that, we could still win with it on the stack. And another Stinger. So I think that they probably had the main deck Spell Pierce in hand. And they've had enough. Alright, so game number 2. Shredded Sail seems like a no-brainer to me. They only play 1 Relic. But, I mean, this is creature removal just to slow them down anyway. They have a Dispel and a Spell Pierce in the main, actually. Do I want to be boarding in Duress? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to do this. Yeah, I'll keep this. Opponent kept 7. They love their prisms. So I could just move to clean up and discard there, but I think our bottleneck this game might be finding Reaping the Graves, and I don't want to ruin my chances at that. Double Thoughtcast. Ooh, they missed their land. Well, I guess so did we. Skyfisher, that's not normal. I guess it is in their list. I just glanced over it. Alright, I don't think we're going to have time to cycle all of these, so I'm just going to discard one. I think it's better in our graveyard than in our hand. There's Atog. So if they have Fling or Teamer Battle Rage, we're in trouble. Okay. Is this our spot? Okay. That was a little brutal. We can still theoretically win this turn. I don't know if we want to, but the option's still there. Alright, so this is going to be a draw 7. 2 Songs of the Dam down. Okay. We also have 2 Lotus Petal down, which is kind of concerning. Because if we use 1 on Tolarian Winds, we'll only have 1 left, but we would only need 1 to win, hypothetically. Alright, another Songs was a terrific draw. Don't know how I feel about cycling that. It's a lot of mana. Love the Graves draw. Unfortunate that the Cabal Ritual wasn't one sooner. Let's find the last 2 lotus petals. There's one. Opponent concedes. All right, that advances us to 4-1 with 1 round to go. It's going to be our winning in for Choppy. First ever Pauper challenge with Grixis Cycling Storm. You're not going to want to miss this last one. The final round of Swiss. We're on the play, and we are likely facing fairies of the blue-black variety. Unfortunately, I think we need to ship this. All right. Not the best hand. There it is. Third songs is brutal. Oh no. If I draw a cycler, I think I would consider Dark Ritual Cycle. We're not out of this yet, but we are definitely a little bit behind. Okay. Step 1 for us is finding Reaping the Graves. Winds is nice and all, but we really need a Reaping the Graves. I think I let them counter this. Try to burn a card from their hand. So this was basically just duress here, which I'm fine with. Having all 4 songs is not ideal by any means. We're about a third of our way through our deck, 3 cards off. We just really need to find a Reaping the Graves to get started. Preordained was the revealed augur. See if I can eat a counterspell with this Cabal Ritual. That's the game plan. So we're taking 4 here and going to 6, so we could be dead to a couple bolts if we don't do something soon. One on the bottom, one on the top. Graves. We have one card in hand. So I'm dead to a Nijitsu creature or a Bolt. I think I'm just going to pass here. Hope to get a little bit lucky. So they have 5 on board. Oh, and they have the Nijitsu. That's exactly 6. We just never found Reaping the Graves. Sort of a bummer, but sometimes that happens. Same board plan as earlier. If you want to support this content, please consider visiting theepicstorm.com/shop. Get your own mini token pack, pint glasses, playmats, pens, stickers, and cool t-shirts. Once again, theepicstorm.com/shop. Game number 2 on the play. Yeah, solid hand. Brainstorm. Alright, so we're in a similar position where we really want to find Reaping the Graves. Double counter backup at this point. Come on, deck. Reaping the Graves. See if they'll counter this. I had no intentions of ever going off this turn, but a lot of these players will just snap counter mana. So it's the best thing to do is just like play it out there, see if they'll eat it. So if we could draw an action spell, this is a pretty good spot to go in. We know that they'll have Spell Stutter and 1 open mana. Come on, deck. Give me a Reaping the Graves. We're dead to bolt on their turn. I think I just Cabal Ritual here, expecting them to counter. I need to save this to discard to Tolarian Winds. And that's how our event ends. So 4-2, unfortunately. Both games in round number 6, we could not find Reaping the Graves. Unfortunate. But sometimes that happens. It is a part of playing combo. We did beat the fairy deck twice today. Unfortunately, the third time got us. It happens. I'll probably top 16 if I had to guess, but it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my first ever Pauper challenge. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.